Hello, students. Today we are going to learn poverty, part 2. In the last part, we had discussed about the poverty line, and various categories of poverty. Now, through those things, it's very clear that what are the causes of poverty. So let me list down all the possible areas which have caused the poverty. As we have, discussed that high growth rate of population, unemployment, low rate of economic development, backwardness of Indian agriculture, especially because there is lack of technology, there is lack of proper irrigation facility, and there is lack of education, lack of awareness among the farmers with regard to all the upgraded techniques of irrigation and agriculture. So, due to all these reasons, or due to, we can say, that lack of all these resources, there is, of course, poverty ratio which is keeping on increasing in our country. Now, one more other reason is that there is inadequate implementation of anti-poverty programs. That is, whatever poverty alleviation programs have been implemented by the government, they have not been 100% successful, which is another cause of poverty. And there are also certain political and social factors which have caused poverty. Now, when we say social factors, it means the gap between the rich and poor, which is continuously increasing. Like, let's say, for example, there is also too much of discrimination in terms of caste, religion. There are certain discriminatory practices, still existing in our country, which has led to poverty. So these can be the cause of either the social, economic, or political inequality. So altogether, all these reasons are the causes of poverty. In the earlier chapter, we had discussed, that is, I'm talking about chapter 1 and 2 of IED, we had discussed that how Britishers, they exploited our farmers, like buying the raw materials from us at a very cheaper rate, and then selling it to their own homeland countries, getting the finished product manufactured in their country, and selling those finished product to our country back at a very higher rate. So all these exploited our Indian resources. And apart from that, I had also discussed in the earlier chapters that how Britishers, they were exploiting, not only exploiting our resources, but there was lack of resources for our own local people. That is, we were exporting too much of raw material, that there was a scarcity of raw materials for our local people. And of course, during 1875 and 1900, we had a famine, and millions of people died. Approximately 26 million people died in famine between 1875 to 900 year. So all these have led to, degrade or deploitation of our resources. And there was, of course, an outburst of anger among all the local peoples, because Britishers were imposing too much of high taxes. And in 1857-58, anger at overthrow of many local lenders extremely high because of taxation, and there was a revolt against British rule. So all these had led to increase in poverty. Now we know very well that majority of Indian population is living in the rural area, and large section of rural poor in India are small farmers. Now either they engaged into agricultural activities, or many of them have migrated due to employment problems. So there, and all those farmers who are living in the villages, their survival depends on the crops and sometimes on the livestock. So with rapid growth of population and without any alternative source of employment, of course, there is less and less availability of land. So the income from these small holding is not sufficient enough for them to survive, or even meet the basic necessity of their life. Now, there are certain factors, every now and then we hear that there are many farmers who have committed suicide in many of the states. Now, what's the reasons why? What are the factors that have led the farmers to commit suicide? Now, if you observe, most of the members of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, they are not able to participate in the employment, or they are not getting more employment opportunities because of lack of knowledge and skill. So this is also one of the major reasons. Now, if we see that there are also certain casual laborers who are mostly vulnerable in the society because they don't have any job security, because they have very limited skills, they have very limited assets or property, you can say, or a small land. So, due to this job insecurity, or there is a lack of job security, they are again, going back below the poverty line. And first factor which have led the farmers to commit suicide is the shift from traditional farming to farming of high yielding commercial crop. We had discussed this in the second and first chapter, that when there was the green revolution, of course, we had for the small farmers to adopt this technology because it was too costly. So it was not possible for small farmers to go in for high yielding commercial crops. And there was also a lack of technology or technical support, due to which they were not able to adapt to this technology. The another reason was decline in public investment in agriculture in the last 2 decades. We can see that there are so many people who are migrating from rural to urban, be it farmers also, because there is lack of opportunities, lack of employment, there is too much of seasonal unemployment. So there are many who are now not investing into the agricultural sector. So this is also one of the reasons. The third reason is that low rates of germination of seeds provided by the large global firms, spurious seeds, and pesticides by the private agents. So, as now I just discussed, that all these high yielding commercial crops were too costly, that it was not possible for the small farmers to get all these costly pesticides or insecticides or high tech technology to improve their irrigation or cultivation. So that also led to, commit suicide. Now, the another reason is crop failure, pest attack. The best example of pest attack which we had recently. I'm sure you would have read in the newspaper that we had a locust attack, and many of the crops were damaged, destroyed due to this pest attack. The another is debt at a very high interest rate. Now, see, we had also discussed in the earlier chapter that how the farmers used to borrow money from the money lenders who used to charge very high interest rate, which they were not able to give it back even before the timeline. Now, due to this increasing debt burden, obviously many of the farmers are committing suicide even now, because the debt burdens are so high that they are not able to clear their debt burden. Now, another thing is cheap imports leading to decline in pricing and profit. We know that there is increasing competition nowadays all across the world. There are n number of countries who are competing with Indian market and providing the goods to the clients at a very, very cheaper rate. So obviously, due to the competition, even our Indian farmers, they have to supply these goods and services, or good crops at a very cheaper rate. And another reason is there is lack of irrigation facility, which is again one of the factors which have led the farmers to commit suicide. Now, there are certain policies and programs towards poverty alleviation which government has undertaken, and one of the 5-year plan, that is the first 5-year plan, the urge was to bring economic and social change, especially related to poverty alleviation. And in the second 5-year plan, It was mainly related to all the benefits of economic development, that all the economic development must accrue to less privileged class, which means that whatever plans are made in the second 5 year plan, it was mainly made so that it could benefit all the underprivileged class of the society, that is the poor class of the society. So social justice was the main objective of these development strategies of the government. And one of the noted program which was initiated in 1970 was Food for Work. Now let's understand what is food for work. Food for work means this was started to raise the standard of living of poor. And these poverty alleviation programs aim to raise income and employment for the poor through, through creation of incremental assets, which means by means of work generation. So this program wanted to ensure goods instead of money, which means instead of giving money, give them the goods so that it helps them to raise their standard of living. Now, let's understand that what are the approaches to poverty. Now, the government's approach to poverty reduction was of three dimensions. One was growth oriented approach, two, work generation or creation of additional assets through poverty alleviation program, and third was providing minimum basic amenities to the people. Now, first, let's understand what is growth oriented approach. Now, of course, when we talk about growth, we are talking about GDP, we are talking about gross domestic product. That is the rise in GDP, rise in per capita income. So the main focus was on the improving and increasing our GDP and per capita income. The second was the second approach was creation of additional assets through poverty alleviation program. And for this approach, there were many programs, or we can say many self-employment programs, which were started. Among those, I have just listed out those programs so that it's better to understand. Rural Employment Generation Program, Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, Swarna Jayanti Rozgar Yojana, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So all these are the poverty alleviation programs which are implemented for the upliftment of the poor, and all these programs were included in the 5 year planning. Now, when we talk about the self-employment programs, that is REGP or PMRY, all these programs were aiming to create self-employment opportunities in the urban area. And it was also set up so that the educated unemployed from the low income family in the rural and urban area can get the financial help through these Swarojgar Yojana. Now, earlier under the self-employment program, financial assistance was given to family or individual, like in many of the poverty alleviation program. But then later on, self-help group concept was started. Now, this self-help employment program was started under Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, which is one of such programs. And these now has been restructured as National Rural Livelihood Mission, that is NRLM. So all these programs were, as I had said, that were started for the upliftment for poor. So this self-help group were started so that every farmer could contribute some small amount, and with these amount contribution from all the farmers together could help the other farmer who was in need of loan. So self-help group were started for that purpose. And the government had a variety of programs to generate wage employment for the poor, unskilled people which are living in the rural area. And that is why in August 2005, the Parliament passed a new act to provide these guaranteed wage employment to every rural household whose adult volunteer is to do unskilled manual work for at least 100 minimum days in a year. So this was again started and it was known as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Now, when we talk about the third approach, that is providing minimum basic amenities to the people. Now, what are these basic amenities? That is food, shelter, clothing, education, health, electricity, safe drinking water facilities. All these were included in providing the basic amenities to the poor. Now, these three programs that aimed at improving food and nutritional status of the poor are PDS, that is Public Distribution System, which we actually call it as we have so many ration shops for providing ration or food to the poor people, or there are also BPL cards, that is below poverty line cards are given to the poor people so that they can avail this public distribution facility, they can avail wheat, rice, sugar, in short, basic necessities of life. Then we also have integrated child development scheme. Uh, and of course, I forgot to mention that we also have a program where children are given free education up to the age of 14 years. Now, there were certain problems because most of the poor people, they had this mentality that the more number of members they have in the family, the more would be the employment. But in reality, that's not the case, because when you have more number of people in the family, it becomes a question of survival, that how are you going to provide all the necessity to your family members. So that's the reason many of the people, many of the poor people who have more number of number of people in the family, they were not sending their children to the school because most of the children were engaged into the labor work. Now, to attract these students who are below 14 years, to attract them to attend the school, midday meal scheme was introduced, so that midday meal was given so that at least in the name of food, they would be attracted and they would try to attend the school. Now, when the children attend the school, even though in the name of midday meal, at least they'll gain some knowledge and awareness, which would ultimately change them as a person. So, followings are also the other programs which were undertaken by the government, that is Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, which is for the development of infrastructure roads. We have Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, and we also have Valmiki Ambedkar Awas Yojana, which is for the shelter for the poor people. Now, government also has variety of other social security programs to help, specific groups, which I had just spoken about, that is the self-help groups. And there are also national social assistance programs which are initiated by the central government. We can see that there are so many advertisements for the awareness or spreading the awareness among the people with regard to health, nutrition, etc. So under there is also one more program which just I told you, that is about National Social Assistance. Now, what is National Social Assistance Program? All the people who are elderly and who do not have anyone to take care of, they are given pension so that they can sustain themselves. And even poor women who are destitute or widow, they are also covered under this National Social Assistance Program. Now, poverty alleviation, if we talk about the critical assessment that how successful these programs have been, then there has been unequal distribution of land, because there has been, even now there is a gap between the rich and poor, and benefits from these poverty alleviation programs have not been benefited much to the poor people. There are also people who are non poor and they have taken the benefits of these poverty alleviation programs. So amount of resources which are allocated for these programs are not sufficient, because of course we have, the population is more, the resources are less. So whatever programs have been undertaken, the resources have not been up to the mark. Success of these programs depends on the government and bank official. So, of course, it's the responsibility of the bank officials and all the officials of the government that they have to take care that there is no red tapeism or no corruption while implementing these programs. So, and of course, one of the most important thing is non-participation of local level of institutions in the program. See, it's very important that any poverty alleviation program or even to eradicate the poverty, it is very important that there has to be active participation from the farmers side. Even they have to take the initiative to learn new things, to have more awareness and knowledge and upgrade their skill, which is still lacking in our country. So, when can poverty be eradicated? As I said, that there has to be active involvement in the growth process by each and every individual, especially the farmers or the poor section of the society. There has to be social mobilization. We have to encourage the poor to create awareness, to upgrade themselves, gain knowledge, skill development, health and education, and better infrastructure. Only then poverty can be eradicated. So, to conclude, we can say that poverty alleviation is one of the India's main challenge for all the policy makers because right from the beginning of our first 5 year plan, poverty alleviation is one of the main objectives since then till now in the existing 5 year plans also. We are far more from reaching the goal of eradicating poverty because the pace or the ratio of poverty, which is very increasing day by day, we have, of course, tried to eradicate, and to certain level, we have been successful in many of the states to eradicate the poverty or at least bring down the ratio. But we are still far from reaching our objective. There has been improvement in terms of per capita income and average standard of living. But when compared to other countries, our performance has not been impressive yet. And there are many who are not able to come out of the circle of poverty. Thank you very much.